It's Matt Mitty.
I've been running from my problems so long, so ashamed of the situation, doing it so low. I was feeling so numb, I was so far gone. The Lord stepped in and now my old season is done. I need to exhale.
I just need to exhale. I just need to exhale.
Yo, welcome to the Lit Podcast, where we motivate, inspire, help you when you're feeling low, and also help you to know God. Yo, welcome to another episode, and man, this right here, this was going to be very deep. I got the hat on because I ain't got a chance to shave yet. I don't want to be on here looking a mess. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. No longer a victim, part 2, numero dos. Yo, this one's gonna be pretty deep because it's talking about triggers. A lot of times in life we deal with these certain triggers that like get us riled up, whether if it's making us angry, making us sad. So a lot of people go off the deep end. A lot of people commit suicide based off of like certain triggers that trigger them to do stuff. Because a lot of times, the enemy is in your head saying those certain things to get the trigger to be a lot broader than what it really is. A lot of times the trigger can be this small, or the words or whatever what was done or said can be this small, but the enemy can be in your head saying, hey, you gonna let them get away with that, or you're gonna allow that situation to happen. So that just makes your mind go crazy. A lot of times for me, to be honest, since this is Transparent Tuesday, manipulation. That was like one of my triggers. Is like, man, when I see other people being manipulated, or even myself, it just gets me like very defensive. And it's like, man, especially when it comes to other people, because I've been manipulated many times before. And it just like, man, just get me riled up and angry. And I find myself talking to that person about that situation, and then we in just this whole committee of just going back and forth on how people manipulating and all this other stuff. Because a lot of times those triggers will cause you to get that person a call, or a person calls you about a situation that triggers you, and next thing you know, what's only supposed to take a couple of minutes, and guess what? You're supposed to be ministering to that person. You're supposed to be helping that person out. It goes into a confession session about how that trigger caused you to be this way, and that's why I don't trust nobody no more because of what happened and stuff like that. So we gotta be careful. And here's a nugget: we gotta be careful on the conversations that we have with certain people, because they can draw us in there, and we could be going down that rabbit hole of the situation that they going through, and sometimes taking on something that we're not supposed to take on. God told us that we're supposed to be to let that stuff go a long time ago, but we end up taking it on because of the connection that we have with that person. So we got to be careful. Also cheating. I've been cheated on, and so I will look at like videos or hear somebody talking about they're going to go cheat, or they not satisfied and all this other stuff, and it just make me angry. And I'm sitting there like, I find myself engaging in that conversation, or I find myself looking at that certain type of video, and I'm like, man, why am I looking at this, man? All I'm doing is poisoning my spirit, because some of the videos, there's a difference between a person that said that they've been cheated on and they overcame that, versus looking at a video where they say that they have been cheated on and they're looking for revenge. And so I would find myself engaged in that, and then I'll be like, man, and then start going back down memory lane, and then going down back memory lane and just sitting here just having a ruminating thoughts process going on in my mind, and causing my countenance to change, causing my attitude to change. And even with sometimes hearing people being overworked and unappreciated. You probably like, wait a second, those are not like no bad triggers. And to me, it is because of the fact that it affects me, but it also because I care for people the way I do. It just hurts me just to know that other people are going through that stuff. And see, everybody's triggers is different. When I hear about overworked and underpaid and not appreciated, it just like, man, wait a second, why that person doing you like that? Why that person doing like that? But what I have to be careful is that I have to understand the whole situation, because sometimes it can be a one-way street. You only hear one story. And so therefore, when it comes to certain triggers, you have to have wisdom. Is this worth me engaging, or do I need to really just sit back and pray about this? And so when it comes to triggers, one trigger that comes up is the trigger of being mentally trapped. When it comes to those triggers, you're being mentally trapped. Just imagine that certain trigger that you went through, like if it was someone you were younger, for me, I always felt that I wasn't good enough. You know, I didn't get the girls growing up. I wasn't the most popular. You know, I was a band geek. You know, I'm in the band playing the baritone and the tuba and stuff like that. You know, that's why I thought I found my, my niche, into the music. That, yeah, man, I'm the man. But even then, I wasn't like the most popular person. I wasn't this. I didn't get the accolades and stuff like that. And being that my mom died when I was at a young age, I didn't get that nurturing. I didn't get, a person coming to, my mom coming to my games and stuff like that, to see me playing in the band, coming to certain, symphonic band or that type of stuff. I didn't get that growing up because of me missing out on that, that nurturing and that woman, that mother figure. I just had this, trigger. And that's another thing. Another trigger is like when I see how a mother and a child is going back and forth with each other, and they seem like they hate each other. And I'm sitting there like, yo, at least you got your mom. You got time to get it right with your mom. You got time to reconcile. I didn't deal with that. I didn't have, I don't have a mother growing up, to hug and stuff like that, to even say I love you and all this other stuff. So I missed out on that nurturing, and that had me mentally trapped for so long. And that had me go through these different emotions in my head and emotions in my heart. And so when you think about mentally trapped, a lot of times I like to give this analogy with being mentally trapped. You have the freedom. You have the freedom to let go. You're in this prison. The door is open, but you don't want to walk through the door. A lot of times, the enemy can have us so trapped in our own thoughts, in our own mind, and having us think all of these things. We don't even realize that we got our backs. we sitting there, he got our backs turned around, looking at something else, got our focus off. We looking back that way, and guess what? The door is open. The gate is open. You can clearly walk out of that turmoil you've been going through. Walk all of that drama you've been going through over the years. Walk out of those addictions that you can clearly walk through there. But because the enemy got you turned around and you focused on something else, focused on the triggers, you don't even pay attention that the door is already open. God done already told you, all you gotta do is turn around and walk out the door. But you so used to the triggers. A lot of times the triggers is like your superpower. It's like you take on those triggers. You feel that if I'm looked at like most people when it comes to, you know what, I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. Just forget what I was about to say, because I don't want to get ahead of myself. And so a lot of times those triggers are like that superpower. And it's like, man, if I hold on to this, that no one will be able to hurt me. And so when you think about this, for me, what's really big for me is words and actions. And that should be like that for everybody. You know, if you say you're going to do something, hold on to it. You know, you always, you know, even growing up, you always heard word is bond. And so when you think about whatever you say, you gotta, if you're gonna mean it, that you're gonna do it, you best go ahead and do it. And do it in the attitude, the same attitude, that same, we know how nowadays they say that same, keep that same energy. If you say that I'm gonna do this, you better go ahead and do this. Because if you think about it, a person will take what you say and take it to heart. If you say that you're gonna wash the car, if you say you're gonna wash the clothes, you say you're gonna do anything. And we talking about relationships now. So if you say you tell your significant other or your spouse that you're gonna do something and you don't do it, guess what? They're gonna hold that on you, because you never know, you know, the person on the other end. They be like, wait a second, you said you was gonna do this. Why did it feel like you just let me down? And so for me, I've heard people say that they was going to do this and they was going to do that. And, oh, don't worry about it, brother. I'm going to help you out and I'm going to do this and do that. And I end up getting let down all the time. And it's just like, wait a second. You said you was going to help me out. Where you at? And so a lot of times it can get discouraging. You can feel like, wait a second, what did I do wrong? Man, you said you was going to do this for me. Why does it feel like that, you know, why do I feel like, man, did I do something wrong to you? But then on the other hand, you got to realize that it's not you. They broke their word. They said they was going to do that, and that's not on you. That's on them. And so even with actions, you know, you got to think about this. You know, the thing just came to my head. You know, growing up, I used to hear, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt. And I thought that words are the main thing that can hurt you fast, quick, in a hurry. We always talk about physical abuse. We always talk about mental abuse. But a lot of people do not really pay attention to the verbal abuse. Man, that's even worse. Because you can mess around and be in an argument with somebody and you have something on them and you call them a certain name. It ain't even got to be the B word, the F word, or all of, you ain't got to say none of those cuss words. You could say, you looking fat today, you looking ugly today, you ain't this and you ain't that. Just those right words right there can bring a person down, whether if there's male or female. You know, a lot of times we hear about if you say something about a woman's figure that woman might feel discouraged. It's the same thing with men. Men might, you know, we might act like it don't hurt us. It'd be like, man, you fat, you ugly, you got this, blah, 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 this. And we might look like, oh, yeah, it didn't hurt. But inwardly, it hurt us bad. And so we got to be careful on what we say, because that can be triggers. You know, the times a lot of times that I've been around in a lot of fights. I've seen a lot of fights. And 100% of the time that the fight got started, it was way before the push. Like, you see a fight get started, somebody push somebody. Nah, they ready to box just by the words that person said. They already ready. They already ready to box. They ready to shoot. They ready to kill just by the words that other person said. When you think about battle rap, and so, you know, I love battle rap. Even with battle rap, they dig up information. They study. They rehearse. And if it wasn't for social media and everything being out there, it'd probably be hard to get information on folks. But now you got everything out there. You can look on social media and everything. Google everything. So You can study, and they find what will trigger that person. I've seen battle raps where that person has said something like lethal to that person. That person might have had a poker face, but that person was ready to box. So we got to be careful on what we say and even how we say it. And even me, myself, I'm saying this publicly. I apologize if I've said anything wrong out of content to anybody, that's whether there's friends or family, because I know sometimes I could just be talking and I might think it's a joke because I like to joke a lot, and it might end up coming off wrong. So if anything I said to anybody that triggered them to feel a certain type of way towards me, I apologize. And so when a person is using those battle strategies, they ready to take them down, but they don't realize that no matter how much of a poker face you have, you might be ready to fight. So we have to be careful on what we say. And another thing, it's not worth going savage. It's not worth going savage. When you think about going savage, you ready to punch, you ready to kill, you ready to steal, you ready to do everything. You ain't, God is pretty much out the equation then. You ready to go in. And so it's sometimes different when it comes to certain triggers. And it also comes to, with the person. Some people are more inwardly and they will hold stuff in like a sponge. But if you wring that sponge out a little bit too, you start to grab that sponge and you wring it out, guess what? It's going to be some wrath coming. So some people, when they hear certain stuff that triggers them, they might just hold it in. It's just like, all right, on the outside it didn't hurt you, but inwardly it hurt. You get into this defense mechanism. You ever been in an argument with somebody or a debate with, significant other or a spouse or even just a friend or a family member, and you say something and they just get quiet? See, some people get quiet and some people get on the defense, the offense immediately. But some people get quiet and they analyze what you said. And if they do not rectify the situation right now, or the person that's on the other end that's talking and stuff like that, if they be like, hey, my bad, I apologize for saying that. If they don't do that, guess what? The person on the other end will hold that in. Just like a sponge, absorb all of that in. And then the moment you say something similar to that, triggers them, guess what? They on the offense. Because it's like, you know what? You're not going to hurt me like you did before. No longer a victim. You can only be a victim for so long until fill in the blank. And so the thing is, you also get quiet. Sometimes a lot of people are ready to give up when it comes to those certain words or certain triggers and stuff like that. They're ready to give up. You know what? Forget it. I ain't dealing with it no more. You know what? You can go ahead and deal with it yourself. I give up. That's a defense mechanism. It's like, you know what? I forget, man. Nah, it ain't even worth it. But inwardly, they like, man, they want to finish the project, but they're like, you know what? Forget it. And that's a sign. That's a sign of like, hey, they were really hurt by that situation or what triggered them, because maybe they grew up saying that they were not good enough. Maybe they grew up and people had let them down to where they just say, you know what, it is easier to give up than to continue pushing and moving forward. Or like I already said, go on the offense. And now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty. When it comes to triggers, you can't receive a blessing holding on to baggage. I'm going to say that again. You cannot receive a blessing holding on to baggage. And so one thing that really messed me up in the past is that I was holding on to so much baggage. And it was like more memories than anything. and I find myself talking about the situation more than usual. And I've stated this before, and then I had this dream recently about a deer that was nibbling in my left arm, and there was a tiger nibbling in my right arm, and I could not get. And by the time I was trying to get to the house and knock on the door, and the person inside was like, just open the door. Because they're so used to me just going through the door. They're just so used to me just doing everything on my own and having no help. And then in the dream, I was like, man, maybe I need to stop playing this victim mentality and get past it. How can I be a minister, a pastor, and all that, and I'm still holding on to this stuff right here? And see, I want to move forward in life, want to get remarried again, want to have a family and things like that. But I'm still holding on to that stuff that's in my mind. The situation's been done. Why am I holding on to it? And so I'm sitting here, a lot of times we are praying. We like, Lord, bless me with the house, the cars, the family, the husband or the wife. Bless me with this. And God is like, I would bless you with that, but you got too much baggage. And a lot of times they think baggage is more than just the man having a bunch of baby mamas, or a woman having a bunch of baby daddies, or a person being in debt, or whatever. Baggage can also be that thing that is going in, through your mind that's keeping you stuck in the past. A lot of times we can be handcuffed to that baggage. You wondering why we're not moving anywhere. And here's an example. So you see this bag right here. I don't know where the thing went. Oh, here you go. So you see that bag's right there. So I'm saying that I want the family, all this other stuff. I'm not going nowhere. No matter how strong you are. Yeah, we had a little interruption, at the front door, unexpectedly. But, we're going to go ahead and continue this going because, hey, everything's impromptu. And so, like I was saying that, no matter how strong you are, you can be a person that can lift 1 to 2 to 500 pounds easy. When you're dealing with baggage, it's still, you handcuff the baggage. Even though the bag can be empty, the more hurt you add to it, the more triggers you add to it, the more, past, feelings and everything like that you add to it, guess what? It's going to get heavier. The words that you've heard, the disappointments that you went through, it's going to get heavier and heavier and heavier to the point to where, guess what? You're not, even if the baggage has wheels on it, you're not going to be able to drag it. So in order to break free, you got to unhandcuff yourself from that baggage. And let me rephrase that. You have to allow God. The God is telling you, hey, the key is right here. You got to uncuff yourself. You got to say, hey, God done already said, he done gave you favor. He done gave you wisdom. He done gave you knowledge. He gave you his word. He gave you his spirit. But you still handcuffed to it willingly. Now, guess what? It's not hard. Let me rephrase that. A lot of people say that it's hard to let those things go. It takes time, but you have to make the effort to do so. And see, that's why I was saying you can't receive a blessing holding on to baggage. You're trying to, move forward. And see, you never know how much weight that's in that baggage. And that weight can cause you to slow down. And being that, a person like me have arm issues and shoulder issues and stuff like that, physically, that can mess myself up. A lot of times that can mess with a person mentally. And then when it mess with that person mentally, like that mental prison, guess what? It's gonna break it down. And the more and more that baggage and is in that, more and more weight that's in that baggage, guess what? Your body is gonna break down. Why you think a lot of people deal with like those suicide thoughts and stuff like that? Because they're mentally and physically being broke down. But you have to do something about those triggers. You have to evaluate yourself and say, what is it that I'm going, what is it? I have to evaluate myself, saying what's going on that I need to do something different. So a lot of times you say, hey, you constantly doing the same thing. The devil already know that routine. God wants you to get out of that same routine. He said, no. Do something a little bit different. You've been praying about the same thing over and over and over again. Maybe you want to fast about the situation. Maybe you want to really find scripture that talks about that situation and ask God to help you in that situation. Maybe you need to just turn off social media for a little bit and say, you know what, I'm gonna be off of social media for a while, and I'm not gonna look at no YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, any of that stuff. I'm just gonna I'm gonna do something different in order to get out of this situation. Guess what? It was easy to get yourself in that situation. Sometimes it's gonna be a little work to get you out of the situation. But guess what? God done already gave you the tools. He done already gave you the keys, and we got to get out of that why syndrome. I was literally the person that would say, how come and why is this happening to me? Man, Lord, I minister to your people. I speak to your people. I encourage your people. Man, I should be getting blessed. Why couldn't it feel like I'm always down all the time? Why do people seem like they got to come? Man, why? And a lot of times God is like, why not you? Because he only knows what you can handle. But sometimes you don't even know your own potential until you are put in that situation. You got the potential to get, this is the potential right here. God is like, hey, I gave you the key. You don't like being handcuffed to that baggage. I gave you the key. I need you to go ahead and get yourself out. Just like you been in that prison. He had already told you, turn around and walk out the door. But the enemy will keep your mind so focused on what happened and whatever triggers you. So you got to get out of that why syndrome and just say, you know what? I'm going to be set free today. That I'm not going to continue being handcuffed to the past, handcuffed to baggage, handcuffed to trauma, handcuffed to strife, handcuffed to discouragement, handcuffed to envy. I'm not going to do all that stuff no more. Man, I'm going to break free. All it takes is some effort. I'm going to end it with this. You have to want to change. That's it. You have to want to change. You have to want to change to the point where say, you know what? Whatever that was triggering me back in the past, it's not triggering me no more. So when you make up your mind to say, you know what, I want to change, God will come in and really just rock your world with how much wisdom and knowledge and how much understanding and peace that you're going to get. Then that's when the change starts to happen. When you make a conscious decision to realize that, hey, you know what I'm dealing with is not right. Me going off on people all the time is not right. Me always having these negative thoughts and always saying this negative stuff that's out of my mouth is not right. So, Lord, I need a change. But you have to make that conscious decision that I want change. I'm no longer a victim. Yo, this is D Silman. Yo, check out, I don't got the shirt on today, but the unsubscribe and the Be Strong, Be Brave, Be Fearless, that's on dsilman.com. You can also check out more videos on my TikTok, which is D Silman. You can also check out these videos right here on Spotify, the Lit Podcast, and also D Silman on YouTube. So go ahead and check out those platforms if you want to, see more. Hey, if you are, a person that's, dealing with certain stuff and you just need somebody to talk to, comment down below. Or if you want to inbox me on TikTok or even on Facebook or Instagram, Derek Silman on Facebook. You can inbox me a message. Also on IG, DLS_DTX. Say if you want to connect, you say, hey brother, I'm going through something right now, and the podcast and the stuff you're speaking is help motivating me. I just need a little bit of help or need a little bit of motivation. Just get at me, man, because guess what? We need each other. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. One man sharpens another man's countenance. So, hey, this is D Silman, the Lit Podcast, and I'm out.